What is up, everybody, and welcome into the DNBA live show presented by Manscaped. Your balls will thank you. Yeah. Weird way to debut that new intro. Guys, I'm Adam Matas. I'm joined, of course, by Harrison Wind.
How's it going, guys?
And, of course, Brendan Vogt.
Seen better days, but glad to be with you here.
As have we all. Eric, unfortunately, wasn't able to be here. He has a graduation, so would like to be here, but is unfortunately not able to. But as you can see, I'm guessed from the intro, there's an elephant in the room in the city of Denver, and I think across the world, certainly all over America, but I think it extends to every corner of the world right now, and that is sort of the moment in time that we sort of find ourselves in, the murder, I should say, of George Floyd, that everybody has seen, and the protests that have kind of taken around. And, we wanted to address it, and we wanted to talk about it, and our job, my opinion, our job here at DNVR, we've made our logo the city of Denver. We've called our slogan is "We Are Denver." We feel like in many ways we want to be the voice, and for many people to shoulder. I take that responsibility very seriously. Sort of my role in the world and in this city, and that specifically is about sports. And I honestly try to stay within sort of tethered to sports most of the time, but this is obviously a time where there's such a big elephant in the room that I think it does lend itself to an opportunity to kind of just discuss it. And we are a company here at DNVR of 28 people I think we have on staff. We have an enormously wide range of perspectives and opinions about a lot of things. But one thing I think we are all unified on and want to make sure that it is clear to the people out there is that we believe that there's an issue with police killing black people in this country, and it's been going on for a long time, and it's been really at the forefront, I think, for a lot of people. There's a lot of different now perspectives and maybe political beliefs about how to handle this or that, but one thing that I think is important for us, and one of the reasons we wanted to take a moment right now, is the state of Colorado, the city of Denver, DNVR as a company, everybody has to get comfortable with uncomfortable conversations, right. And this is an incredibly uncomfortable one, I think, for everybody. And I think it's important for us as a company, myself as a sort of leader, to just come out and stare this straight in the eye and say, there's an issue here. There's an issue at hand, and we acknowledge it. We acknowledge that what our has acknowledged, and is that there's an issue right now with police brutality.
And it's difficult to navigate. We're three white males talking about this, and I certainly don't think we were going to go find one of our black friends or few black friends in sports journalism and ask them to speak for the community on our behalf. But we also don't want to pretend like we're coming to anyone with answers here. It's a really sort of tough thing to navigate, but to ignore it would have almost felt privileged in a sense too. I think we accept that our role for the most part in building this community is to bring joy into your lives. But there's a lot of pain. Absolutely. And there's a lot of suffering in people's lives right now. And I would be remiss personally if I didn't speak on it, and to agree with you, Adam, and to say explicitly that Black lives do matter to me and to this company.
Yeah. And it's not even, it's such a complicated issue that I don't want people, a lot of people get turned off even just by the discussion. Right. But part of the point of bringing this up is, guys, this is the future we have. Either put our heads in the sand and accept sort of the state of things now, or come face to face and say, hey, here's an issue. How do we solve it? And, I think there's a lot of defensiveness a lot of times whenever you bring anything up about, well, hey, don't say the wrong thing. We're going to say the wrong things. We're going to say a lot of the right thing. I mean, just a lot of starting a dialogue with people is about going into uncomfortable spots and inviting people in and saying, hey, how can we look at this? How can we get past it? How can we get through it? And, I really believe this. Maybe it's because I'm an optimistic person, but I really do think this is a really, I think, tumultuous time. And I think everybody feels a little bit of anxiety, not just for this specific moment, the specific incident, but just from a where do we go from here moment. It feels in many ways like a tipping point, like this is pushed further than ever before. Yeah. And a lot of uneasiness. But I really do believe that we saw this with COVID. Our bar and our company was pushed to the limit. We thought, like, oh my God, what are we going to have to do? Are we going to start cutting people? Are we going to have to lose? And we really looked at that and said, you know what, this is a horrible moment in time, but it's an opportunity. And I think with that attitude and with that mentality and that resolve, we were able to get through it. And I think this same thing applies to us as a society and us to as a city. Is this is a very uncertain time. It's a very scary time. It's a dangerous time. But I genuinely believe in opportunities in the worst moments in life, and the optimist in me tells me it's an opportunity.
And to kind of piggyback off that, I feel like we've seen some people really rise up and like do some pretty incredible things. Like Jaylen Brown drives from Boston to Atlanta to 15 hours to lead a march. Enes Kanter is standing up in the middle of a march and like making an impassioned speech to everybody out there. Some of the stuff that some of the leaders in the NBA have said have been some pretty inspiring stuff. Now, we can talk about like the run-of-the-mill PR statement and how that doesn't mean anything, but people have come out here and said meaningful stuff. So I think we have seen some of that stuff as well. I mean, everything else has kind of overshadowed the good because there's just so much other stuff going on, but there has been some good things to emerge.
If I could speak candidly, though, unfortunately, we've seen good things and good moments emerge time and time again as we found ourselves at these crossroads. George Floyd is not the first name we've chanted in the streets, so I don't want to. You're right, Harrison. I mean, I cling to hope too, but I don't know. I just want to sort of acknowledge, I guess, that that this is going to take more than just hoping, and if you find yourself in a difficult place with all you're feeling emotionally, not sure what to do, as many of us do, I personally urge you to put those emotions into action. Listen first and foremost if you're looking to be an ally. March with your brothers and sisters if you care, if you believe Black Lives Matter. Donate, and don't just donate this weekend. Make that a part of your budget if you can. Try to take this home with you and build it into your daily habits and not just let it be a reaction to the horrific tragedy that we just saw. Our brothers and our sisters need our help, and this fight is a daily fight. So if you're confused, if you're angry, I urge you to put that into action. And if you're not sure how, please shoot me a message, and I'm happy to send you some resources.
And I think it's okay to have disagreements even about going forward. I mean, so much of this is about not talking to each other and not working these things out. I think a lot of people disagree about how to handle a protest, how to handle this or that, or where to go from here. I was down at the rallies today very briefly, but down to see what was there. And there was a lot of things there that I didn't agree with necessarily about where to go. There's a lot of things I did. And I think that's, to me, this is sort of how you get past the moment in time we're in, is we got to have those dialogues. We have to have those conversations. We have to have meaningful action taking place. If there is an issue and we all agree, and I think, to me, if you're outside of this country and you're looking in and you're wondering, well, first of all, not every country is fortunate enough to allow the protests and things that have happened in this country so far. We'll see going forward how that changes. But just the ability to sort of speak out and say, hey, there's a lot of different ideas here, but we're all acknowledging that there is a problem. This is a thing that has happened over and over again. And to your point, Brendan, this isn't our first march. This isn't our first protest. This isn't our first sort of moment in time we've had this. It just feels like the most intense, and it obviously the latest, and it's just been boiling and boiling and boiling. And so with that, I mean, I just think it's time. Reach out to people who disagree with you. One belief I have that's sort of foundational to who I am is I believe we live in a moment in time where it's so easy to insulate yourself in a bubble and really be completely oblivious to what other people think. I think we have to break those bubbles. You have to reach into other corners of the world and talk to people that are maybe disagree with you, and close family members, this or that, and really hear what they have to say and allow them to hear what you have to say in a way that you can get through to. And I'm not trying to say to compromise, because I do think there's a wrong answer to this question. I think there are right answers to this one and wrong ones. But I do fear that so many people, it's so easy to insulate yourself and to block people out of your life so that you only see you only see the world that you've created for yourself, not the one that actually exists.
And it's on us too. Like, this is on us as white people. Like, to be completely honest, it's on us to make a change. And I've just been reminded so much about just my privilege over the last couple of days. And like, I go for a run every day in like downtown Denver, and I have no second thoughts about it. I don't think I'm going to be in danger. I don't think anything sketchy is going on if I see a cop and I run by a police officer. But I know that's not the case for a lot of Black and African American people out there. And so I've just really been reminded of that. But, it's going to be up to us as white people to make a change if we really want to.
And not to belabor the point, but that's why I really want to stress taking this beyond whatever this moment is and building however it is you want to help into your lifestyle. We can't let this be Ferguson. We can't be, oh yeah, that's right, that happened. So as allies, what can we do to carry this into our daily lives? And don't be afraid to talk to people and reach out to people who might feel differently.
Yeah.
If you're black, and listen
to what black people say, because they've been right about everything that they've been talking about
or their
over the last
experiences,
decades.
and their experience is not our experience, and that's really, there's no one black opinion on how to handle this, right? The community is full of diverse people who feel differently, but just do your best to listen patiently. And if you're black and you listen to this podcast, you read our stuff, you're a part of this community. I see you, I hear you, I love you, and I'm with you, and I just need you to know that.
We're going to take a break here, and on the other side, we're going to get back into some basketball things. Again, this is an open dialogue. If there's things people have to say that they want to come back to this, they want to bring up, we're here, and we're always here. We're always here in this moment. We get emails all the time from people about various subjects. Always feel free if you want to share something with us, maybe not on this platform, but privately. Always feel free to do that. We're going to continue to reflect on our own company and our own position and what it is that we mean to the city and what it is that we need to be doing. And if you have ideas and advice for us on that front, we'd love to hear it. But on the other side of this, we are going to get back to sports and to conversation and talking about the things that we love. Jerami Grant, just to preview, Jerami Grant had an interesting podcast with Chris Haynes. At least I think he did. It was only up very briefly.
He did for a couple hours.
For a couple hours. We're going to talk about what was revealed in that one, or what was potentially revealed in that one. And then later in the show, we're going to talk about something that got axed from Friday's show that I think will be a lot of fun. Talking about some of the athletes and basketball players that we've always identified as being the coolest. I think we're going to have some fun with that. So we wanted to take a moment here to sort of break the fourth wall here and address that. With that, we're going to move forward. But first, Harrison, take us away.
Yeah, guys, so we had the Nuggets Invitational this past weekend on WGT. Here's how my first hole went on the Nuggets Invitational. Sipping my Mile High City Copper Lager, as I always do when I'm playing WGT. And the first hole, I think I shot 3 or 4 straight shots out of the rough right in front of the green. Bounced up on the green by the hole, rolled back into the rough 4 times in a row. That's not how my round went.
The Nuggets Invitational is the single most fun golf event in the world.
Maybe in the history of the world.
Golf. Maybe the history of the world.
Remember, it's almost like an absolute value thing. Like, it's so unfun that it's like more fun than anything has ever been.
That's 100% right.
Oh, man. It was incredible.
I took 5th.
You took 5th. I barely snuck in the top 10. I think I was 9th.
Rage quit.
I thought about rage quitting after the first hole, too. I took a 10 on the first hole.
We designed it that way, baby.
I had 1 par, which I was very proud of. I had a 10 on the first hole. So we'll have more tournaments coming up, but if you're not involved, sign up, DNVRgolf.com. That's where you can download WGT from. And search for the DNVR Clubhouse.
It's so much fun. I haven't played for like
tournament.
a week
and while you're playing, yeah,
but it's fun.
While you're playing WGT,
Harrison's on a delay.
Drink Mile High City Copper Lager. I think we're on a delay here.
How do any of our sponsors keep paying us? It's like, well, listen, there's going to be an ad read, kind of.
It's because the Nuggets Invitational is the greatest golf event in the world, and it's only on WGT.
Nice. Ooh,
there it is.
Professional. Yeah.
All right, let's go into the pick of the week, guys. Once a week, I make a pick for our Draftkings pick of the week. I'm on a heater. I'm on a heater right now.
I don't know if that's a heater.
I'm on a 2-pick heater.
No, you need a 3 in a row as a heater. Come on, you know. You need the he's heating up right now. Next shot, if it goes, that's a heater.
All right, well, I feel good about this pick tonight. I'm going back to the KBO, back to my sweet spot.
As you should.
Our NC Dinos are facing the SK Wyverns tonight. The Dinos have the best record in the KBO at 18-5. They've won 7 of their last 10. Here are their last 3 games. I love
when wind rattles off KBO stats like we're still covering the Nuggets. It gives me life. It's the closest thing I have.
Their most recent game, they won 18-7. so they're in a nice little groove right now. They're taking on the Wyverns, who are a half game away from having the worst record in the league at 7-16. So this is a lock. Dinos to win over the Wyverns. That's my DraftKings pick of the week.
I like it. Anytime you pick the Dinos, man, I think you're right. That's my squad. Me and Swole Daddy. All right, so Harrison, you wrote a piece today. You were up at the crack of dawn listening to the podcast with Chris Haynes in the 30-minute window it was available, although we're not sure. It might still be available. People tell us if you listen to the pod out there with Chris Haynes, who by the way, is like one of the best out there. He gets all the scoops.
It's definitely not available anymore.
It
It's
mysteriously
definitely
disappeared,
not.
which I can't wait for why,
So-
but I need that story.
So Harrison, give us the details. What was said?
Well, I didn't think there was anything
Controversial.
like that dramatic or controversial said in this podcast. Chris Haynes asked Jerami Grant about his potential free agency. Jerami Grant has a $9.3 million player option for next season, or he could opt out and become a free agent. And Jerami Grant pretty much just said that, yeah, like the coronavirus situation and how that impacts the salary cap, that could have a lot to do with whether I opt out or not. And then Chris Haynes just asked him straight up, what way are you leaning when it comes to that player option? And he said, let me find the quote here. Quote, I'm definitely not leaning towards picking up the player option. I feel like I definitely outplayed the $9 million that I'm making each year right now. But at the same time, I'd love to come to a conclusion or something like that with to negotiate when the time comes.
Yeah, so...
Did you guys hear that?
Yes, we did.
Yeah,
I think
yeah.
you're back with us. Harrison, you had said in the Slack, I think, today, that I believe this is Jerami Grant's first chance to really be coveted, right? To try to go out and get the bag via free agency.
Because he was a second rounder. He's on the Monte plan,
Yeah.
basically, right? I mean, he got more money than Monte, but where he
Yeah, so
signed
I
an
think-
early
I think
second
he signed
contract.
he signed an extension with the Thunder, but I don't. Yeah, I think he signed an extension with the Thunder, but it wasn't like he went out and really tested the market. I don't believe.
We are on a delay, folks.
Harrison
We'll
is
see.
He's on the International Space Station right now. There's a little bit of a delay. No,
Do you,
so
think,
yeah,
do you think Harrison hates this show?
I do. I think
do
Harrison
too.
hates us
Me
and the
too.
show.
I thought about that a
There he is,
lot. There he is. He's back.
and in real time it appears. Yeah, so I think he's on that Monte plan, and so this is a chance, but I always get nervous, guys, and I'm not saying there's anything to this nervous. This is just my nervous personality, I suppose. But anytime a player talks about, like, I'm really excited about exploring free agency, I've never gotten to do that before, I always think, like, well, if you end up taking meetings in, like, Los Angeles or Miami or just anywhere like that, like, yeah, that's going to be that's
Pretty
a
dope.
much easier sell. That's going to be very easy to be like, look at your sweet apartment. Looking
I
at
was
the beach.
stoked when Brandon took me to a Starbucks in Lakewood. I was like, this is lit. Recruiting?
You're like, oh, he's getting me the tall coffee.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
I feel like the belle of the ball here. Yeah, so I don't know, man. Like, the Nuggets, I've always thought Jerami Grant would resign here. He seems like the personality. They have the money. They want to make him the piece. I genuinely think their pitch is going to be like, hey, you can be the starter for a while and whatnot, and you're, big part of the team.
Win a title, maybe.
Maybe win a title, all of those things, and pay you and secure the bag or whatever. But I don't know, man. Just something about the way, and I guess I should probably listen before I make my final judgment. 'Cause I'm
Yeah,
just reading Harrison's excerpts of the quotes behind the paywall on DNVR.
That's what I
But
was
reading
gonna
them,
say.
I'm just like, oof, it's not what I want to hear.
Yeah, doesn't surprise me too much because,
doesn't.
I just kind of keeping his options open. And as we mentioned earlier, he's got this chance to get the bag. But I was going to caution you against reading into the quotes until you can hear them because it's just so difficult.
Yeah, and also, like, this is kind of what I expected Jerami Grant to do if this is what ultimately happens, decline the player option and then negotiate a 2 or 3 year deal with the Nuggets. That's how I saw this thing going anyway. So, I mean, I wasn't surprised by the comments. I wasn't really taken aback by them. I don't think Nuggets fans should be worried or anything.
Is there any world, Harrison, in which the projections for the cap going forward are so dismal that players like Grant or in his ballpark swing back towards just taking that option? I mean, is it a player like Grant's probably too good for that $9 million, but there's a chance these guys might not get as much on the open market as they would otherwise.
Well, I think so. I mean, if the cap goes down by like 6 or 7 million or something like some are talking about, it might. I could definitely see players picking up their option and then just waiting to get back into free agency next summer. Because why would you want to take a deal that's based on a cap that's going down when, the next season after this one, it's, most likely going to rebound upwards and you can get paid off of that. So I think that is a possibility. I don't think a lot of people are talking about that, but I'd have to think that's a possibility.
So that would be the only reason that I was surprised by those quotes. But it does sort of sound like, and by the way you wrote that piece, that I kind of inferred that all these guys are kind of in wait-and-see mode for that reason.
Yeah, for sure. People don't know this, maybe we have the privilege of knowing this, that Jerami Grant, I don't think any of us really know him.
At all.
Part of it's because he hasn't been here long, but Jerami Grant is first team, School of San Antonio, School of Oklahoma City, just don't say anything. He'll get up there. If you haven't seen his press conferences, he'll get up there and you'll be like, so what was with the defense tonight? Oh, it was good.
Oh, he'll give you a yes or no answer if you don't
he will
leave it open-ended.
If you allow a yes or no answer, he will answer it with yes or no. And it's funny because I've heard when people ask, like, who's the funniest player on the team, it's like one of the stock questions people ask players. Jerami Grant's name has come up. Like, people are like, oh, yeah, he's a fun guy. He's funny, this, that. I'm like, really? He shows none of it. He does not give anybody, like, a single glimpse of any of his personality. So I say that just to say that I honestly don't feel like I have any idea what Jerami Grant thinks of being in Denver. And he would never answer a question that, like, tried to get at that, at least from me.
I agree with that, 100%.
Yeah. I think the other
definitely
big thing to take away
from
from
this. Definitely.
That's what
and he'll also sometimes just repeat the question back to you, which is even what he did to Chris Haynes.
Yeah, I noticed that. I was reading that in the cadence. Were you guys?
I've definitely read it in Jerami Grant's voice for sure, 100%.
Yeah, he'll repeat the question back.
Have you guys ever been in the locker room and you're like, what is everyone waiting for? And they're like, Jerami. And you're just like, why? Happens
Maybe
a lot.
one day he'll say something incredible.
No, I think the other point I tried to make in that article when I put the Jerami Grant and Jokic two-man combination numbers in there is that I think this is a really good fit, Jerami Grant and Jokic. And if you just look at how those two progressed from October through March and when the season was put on hiatus, in October and November, that pairing sucked. The Nuggets were not good with those two on the floor together. But by the end of the season, Denver was well into the positives with those two playing, just if you look month to month. So maybe it's something where, and we've talked about this before, it just maybe takes a little bit of time to learn how to play with Nikola Jokic and just the system that the Nuggets run.
Yeah, I don't know if you guys would agree with this, but it felt to me like as the season went on, it evolved from just spot-up shooting to, oh, I'm going to be an option on the fast break, or my guy's asleep, I better cut, and I like there's all these in-between the plays ways you can score when playing off of Jokic, and it seemed to me like Grant really sort of picked up on that as time went on.
Also, as time goes on, I think you start to look at, it's funny, we talk about pairings, like, oh, is he and Jokic a good pairing, but I actually really think about him, Michael Porter Jr., and Jokic as a trio. And I think the Grant-Jokic combo is good, not great. I think the MPJ Grant-Jokic combo can be great. It's like the combination of all three of those guys, and it's no secret, if you've listened to the show or read my work all year and checked out the list, one of my things that really concerns me about Jerami Grant is he's not a great rebounder.
Yep.
And I think that that's an important part. But you pair that with Michael Porter Jr., it's like it completely eliminates that weakness. You're just getting the strength from an unexpected place. You're getting it from the three instead of traditionally where you would get it at the four. So I actually, everybody knows this. I am all in on the long boys. Jerami Grant's a long boy. He's one of the longest long boys. So I think he can be great. And more to the point, this was a year where the Nuggets lost two big players from their like war chest of young players in Malik Beasley and Juancho Hernangomez. Also, Jared Vanderbilt, like, let's not forget, also lost a piece that was one of those just sort of throw-ins. Like, who knows what will happen to him or if he'll turn into anything. But when you lose that and you bring in a guy in Jerami Grant, if you were to also lose him, this team would have really felt like it missed an opportunity. Like the hand they were dealt 2 seasons ago did not get played correctly. If Jerami Grant, am I wrong in thinking this? If Jerami Grant does not stay in Denver, wouldn't that feel like a pretty big failure?
I mean, yeah, I still think like you can't go back in time. So the trade at the time was a good trade. It would still have to be considered a good trade. But yeah, if you give up a first for a guy who in theory was that right mix of talented enough but affordable enough to slide into what the Nuggets had going on, I mean, if you lose out on re-signing him, like that does feel like a big loss.
When the Nuggets traded for him, they like identified him as the power forward of the future. I know that's like a corny term that we throw out here on the podcast, but like that's what they thought
only you
of
call
him.
him the power forward of the future. You're the only guy.
I want like a really bad Back to the Future style shirt with that, just like Jerami Grant and sunglasses.
No, it is, man. To me, it's a scary thing because I've always thought Millsap probably back, but maybe not. But if Jerami Grant was gone, and then does that put Denver in a position where it's like we've seen the one criticism I think you can have of Tim Connelly, the loudest one, is that it does seem like in free agency he doesn't always get the best value, including only for his own guys. I mean, Mason Plumlee, Will Barton, both Gary Harris, all those guys have signed. Jamal Murray, they've all signed contracts. When they came out, the immediate reaction was, "Wow, that's steep." That's the high end of what you can expect from them. So it does make me wonder the posturing, and it's not even posturing. It's just Jerami Grant saying what should be intuitive. He's going to test the market. He wants the most. Denver might feel like, oh God, it's a failure if we don't get him. We have to have him.
In that case, are you rooting for the cap to go down so there are less competitors for Grant? I'm trying to work that out in my brain.
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. You get into tricky waters there. Well, let us know in the comments, guys. What do you think? I mean, are you concerned? I guess the podcast didn't necessarily drop, but maybe you saw Harrison's article today, so you were able to read and get the excerpts. Are you concerned at all about Jerami Grant flying the coop? And then Denver, what would they do? Maybe, guys, maybe it's the blessing in disguise, and it opens up room for the longest boy. Bull. The real power forward of the future.
Yeah. Hypothetically, what happens if we lose Millsap and Jerami Grant? I have no idea. I mean, you have to go out and get something, but the Nuggets aren't going to be that far under the cap to really do that, and it's not a great free agent class.
You got to start MPJ at that point.
Michael Malone just resigns when they say, "All right, Will Barton's your starting 3, and Michael Porter's your starting 4."
Yeah, they won't lose both of them though. Yeah, they won't lose both of them because they have the money to re-sign one, and they definitely will.
And Millsap has also stated explicitly that he wants to come back.
Yeah. No, I was going to go back to what Adam was saying about just the fit with MPJ. What, like, two biggest things did we learn about Grant this year? I think it's that, one, his three-point shooting was not a fluke. The 39% he shot from Oklahoma City was not a fluke. I think he's, maybe not a 40% shooter
but
like he shot this year, but you're fine with him as a three-point shooter. And then, secondly, on the defensive end of the ball, he's great, like, with his switchability. He can guard 1 through 5. He guarded Luka Doncic. He guarded Brandon Ingram. He guarded Kawhi Leonard. And I think that really meshes well with MPJ because Jerami Grant could probably take a little bit of a load off MPJ in that circumstance because MPJ is not going to be asked to guard that dominant, like, small forward that Denver might be going up against.
And I really wanted to see how Grant fared in the playoffs for that reason, right? Like, what if Grant comes out and for the first time in 4 or 5 years, the Nuggets have an actual answer to that question? Who even tries to guard a Kawhi or a Giannis? And at that point, if he's even suitable in that role, then you're willing to open up a little more, probably.
In Beeston's hypothetical there where he says, actually, that's not his. It was Burley Joe's hypothetical about if Millsap and Grant both go elsewhere. I mean, this is the doomsday scenario. I don't think it's going to happen. I think it's extremely low risk. But if it were to happen, I mean, did the Nuggets just re-sign Mason Plumlee and make him the power forward of the future? And they just say, you know what? This is the net rating looks good with these two. Let's just go all in on it.
They have to start at PJ if they do that over Craig, but
what a weird team it would be.
Also,
for
what
Denver
is the starter?
Centers.
What does the Mason Plumlee starter package look like?
What do you mean
financially? Like, if you paid him that much money to be your backup center.
I think the point is you wouldn't have to pay him that much money because first of all, he's not going to play 34 minutes a game. He's going to still play like 22 minutes per game at that situation.
Yeah, but if I'm Mason, I'm going to be like, well, that's how much I cost to back him up. I'd like a raise.
Guys, how are we making this fun
all I'm going to say is
depressing?
the Jokic and Mason Plumlee net rating was amazing again this year.
It was
unbelievable.
Yeah.
Despite what some bloggers think.
Some blog boys, man. Let's move on here, guys. And I want to give a heads up. If you guys want, we're going to talk about cool athletes here. I think this is a fun. I have such a long list. Our most cool basketball players of all time. But if you want to play the steps, I got to let you know. Can you pull up our graphic of our prizes there, guy? We have some new prizes this week for the entire steps. Look at this. Breck Brew has sent us a bunch of stuff. We've got water bottles to give away, hats to give away, T-shirts to give away, koozies and keychains. Everybody that plays gets a koozie and keychain. You get to 5, you get to pick one of those 3 items. You get to 10, you pick another one of those items. And then if you get all the way, we have an awesome cooler, a Rover cooler. This is a cooler. This is like a Yeti cooler, but better. In part because it's made here in Colorado, so it's like, you know, everything. We're so about local here. But just look at how cool this is. This looks like a travel trailer / cooler, doesn't it, Harrison?
This is the coolest prize we've ever given out.
This
This
is
is
the
like
coolest
the
prize.
Rolls Royce of coolers.
This is like a $500 cooler. So if you want to play the steps, today's a great day for you to try to hop on and play the steps. So hop into the chat here, guys. Coolest players. I have an entire list here. Part of what spurred this on, we've obviously been talking about Michael Jordan, and think of all the places we can. Jeez,
He's on one today, man.
He is on one. I guess I should say we're not shipping that to Serbia or Australia, so probably domestic only.
Hopefully the winner lives in Colorado.
Probably should have made that clear up front. So
You have to come to the DNVR bar to pick it up, actually.
Oh man, this is gonna be a nightmare. So anyway, we're talking about cool players, and it's funny. I'm not sure the Nuggets have that many cool players.
No, they don't.
I think that's part of why they don't have mass appeal. Now, they're cool to me. But when we talk about cool, we're talking about mass appeal. And part of what's cool about Denver is we have our own cool, and it's like we're provincial that we have our things, and if you don't get it, screw you. We don't care. That's part of the spirit of DNVR, right? Is like, oh, we're not getting aggregated by Bleacher Report, and they're not talking about us on the jump. So what? It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
We're our own jump. We're our own
Will
thing.
Barton's probably the coolest Nuggets player.
He probably is.
Definitely. To be clear, no idea what these guys are like outside of that context, but just to your point, Adam, with
In the
regards
context
to
of what we're talking about,
right,
sure.
who pops in the public eye, yeah, they don't.
Well, first of all, you know my theory. I think a lot of cool people, including and especially like athletes, musicians, or whatever, like Justin Bieber. Is he cool? I highly doubt it.
Right, yeah, exactly. Exactly.
He's cool on camera, can dance and this and that. But if I had to hang out with the guy, I'd probably like want to blow my brains out.
LeBron James is one of my favorite people on earth. I don't want to spend time with him. That's like a completely different sentence.
Well, that was like
news.
one.
He doesn't want to spend time.
Yeah,
with
no,
you, so
that's
a really
it's actually
good
just a defensive position.
One of my big revelations for making this abbreviated list was that I barely had any players that are currently in the NBA.
Oh, wow.
Hey, don't put that comment up there, guy. But I was going to draw attention to it for the viewers.
What was it?
No, don't ask that question. Right in the beginning
okay.
hours of quarantine, Jamal Murray did something cool. Is Rocky the coolest Nugget? Yeah.
Is Rocky the coolest Nugget?
Rocky definitely has the highest Q score of any.
Yeah.
Is it
I guess
Q
he's
rating?
a cool
What is it?
mascot.
The Denver Nuggets have done a great job of marketing Rocky. More so than maybe even like Alex English or, like David Thompson or something. But yeah, I don't know that there's like a great, right now, Will Barton by far the coolest. Yeah, I don't think the general public sees how cool he is. Like we just get to see him by, like, he's just like naturally cool.
If you wear sunglasses inside and no one makes fun of you,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Like, that's a level I'm not on.
You know who I think is actually sneaky cool? This is so funny that we're judging cool.
I know. Yeah,
'cause I'm
us
like
three.
the dad. So
The bloggers.
sneaky cool Monte Morris. I've always said
Monte Morris is cool.
guys that have multiple nicknames are always cool. Monte Morris has like 12 nicknames.
Didn't it feel like Monte Morris was like friends with the NBA before he was in the NBA? Like,
Yeah,
he
oh,
showed
for
up at
sure.
Summer League and
Yeah.
everyone was like,
Popular.
"That's my guy Monte."
That's my guy Monte. He's definitely cool. I'll bet he's 100% chill. All right, let's go through the list. Harrison, who do you have on your list here?
So the first guy I thought of when I was putting together a coolest players list, Dr. J.
Yeah, it's a good answer.
that's a good one. That's a really
Dr.
good one.
That's
J
a really good answer.
epitomizes
Yeah.
cool.
Jesus,
The
oh
fro. Oh my god. These comments are out of control. The fro.
It's not wrong though.
Yeah.
Who's drunk tonight? Like, is the comment section drunk? What's going on? Can't even throw these on the screen.
Blowing off some steam in the DNBA show.
Blowing off something.
Anyways, Dr. J. Maybe the coolest player in NBA history.
Definitely cool. Do you guys remember when JaVale McGee's mom kissed Dr. J?
No?
Like, no, that's what you
I'm
thought.
going to
You're
Google
too
that right now.
No, I remember. I remember.
Because I think JaVale McGee's mom, like, she played basketball, but she grew up a huge Dr. J fan. And he was like a sex symbol, right?
Yeah.
In like the 70s, 80s. Well, she like walked up and was like, I never thought I would get this chance. Like
Just kisses him on the mouth.
And he's just kind of like, oh.
Oh, watching the video now. That's exactly what happened.
It was after JaVale McGee threw down maybe one of the more underrated dunks ever in the dunk contest, where he dunked on 2 hoops at the same time.
Look at what is this? My
all right, Nemanja.
How the heck do you have to get on and tell this story?
Get him on the show,
You
Nemanja.
can't just hop on here and be like,
Wow.
yeah, personally knows his friend.
You guys know Dr. J has some deep Serbia ties. I think everyone knows that.
You guys want to know what I found out? Actually, shout Serbia here. I have a Serbian story. Do you guys want to know what my dad like showed me over the weekend?
Sure, Adam.
And
What's
this is
that?
something he researched on the internet, so I'm sure it's certainly true. But the name Mahrez is most popular per capita in Mexico, then Spain, then the U.S., then Serbia. In Serbia, apparently, it's like per capita.
There are Mahrezes in Serbia?
Apparently.
You might be accepted if you made the trek.
I've always said I'm probably Serbian. I don't know. I've never said that. It's probably not
You've
true.
never said that.
I've
I
never
reject
said
it. Yeah.
It's excessive giggling. I love that they say. I love D-Line's giggle. It gives me confidence to keep telling jokes.
Me too. Excessive is still apt, though. That's
It's-
still-
D-Line's got the media laugh down if he ever goes into
Oh my
media.
God.
He just
He
laughs
makes
at
me
anything.
think I'm so funny, and I know I'm not.
All right, who do you have on your list? Vote. Who was at the top? Wait, you have a friend with Mahrez? You got to keep these on here, guy. I got to read these for long enough. Look at
Yeah,
this.
so this is like cheating. So I'm just
Anytime
gonna
Nemanja
edit
just-
it.
Nemanja just
anytime I
making up
personally
stuff
get
at this
a
point.
shout out. I need to have it left on screen for a long time.
MJ's cheating,
Okay, you
but
can
I'll
do
just say it. Like MJ, of course. And then
So was that one of your biggest takeaways from watching The Last Dance? Was just that this dude's cool?
yeah, or like was cool at the time.
Well, yeah, he's definitely not cool now.
But like yeah, like
lost the
like
cool.
MJ was cooler in the sense that we're articulating now. Again, us the ultimate arbirators.
Yeah.
Like way cooler than LeBron. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
And,
yeah,
like
yeah.
it's not even close. But the first name I put down was Allen Iverson.
Oh,
He was
that's-
second on my list. Second on my list.
He was
Who-
second on my list too. It was MJ then Iverson. So
Like-
me and Vote had the same list.
There's precisely 0 people who like hoops and like hate AI. So
I still think he's cool. I actually love
I think he's
Iverson.
so cool.
We told this story before, I think, on this very show, but you guys were all there when Iverson arrived, right? So the story goes, I think I can share this one. I'm pretty sure. I'm talking to Nuggets PR because they're honoring Iverson on 2000s night, and I joke with them. I'm like, what are the odds Iverson actually shows up for this thing? And they're like, oh, don't worry. We personally sent a car to the airport. We
Oh my
have him.
God,
Like,
this is my
there's
favorite.
there's no chance he's not going to show. He's going to be here at 5 to sign autographs. Like, all right, 5 o'clock comes, he's not there. 5:30, 6:30, still not there. And PR sweating bullets. They're just like, oh my God, what's going to happen? And then in at like 6:55, the game tips out at 7, and they're honoring him
through the
before
wrong
game.
door. Through the wrong door.
Through the wrong
they
door.
had to
Through
put
the back
towels up.
door.
They had to bring towels up.
And in walks Iverson wearing just
A
sweats.
gray jumpsuit
Gray
And a
jumpsuit.
headband.
and a headband.
And he just strolls in like nothing in the world can bother him. And I'm telling you, I've never seen it like that. We've seen, I guess with LeBron we see it. That's the only other guy where as soon as he walks into a room, there's like a light beam that just shines on him, and everybody can't take their eyes, including myself. I couldn't stop looking at him. I was just like, this is the coolest dude that's ever existed.
When he was walking down the hallway, he just had this aura about like just him. It was
know,
just
Floated.
larger
He
than
floated
life.
down
I mean,
the hallway.
To
Yeah.
me, in a lot of ways, he's kind of like if J.R. Smith was the same rep, but was an all-star echelon type of player. Like he
so
was
much
in your
cooler than
life.
JR, man.
No, he is. But I mean, when you're in the same room as AI, you're like, well, in case he does anything, I need to be watching him. Like, you know
Yeah.
what I mean? You never know
Oh,
what he's
yeah.
going to do, whether that's good or bad or off the wall. But there's like this, I need to know what that guy's going to do next.
The coolest thing, and this isn't the coolest thing, but one of the coolest things about Iverson is that he's now old and washed, and he loves giving praise to all these new players, and I just love it. It's like somehow he stays even cooler. It's incredible. All right, let me go down my list next. I had World Be Free. Now,
Wow.
before my time, but come on, that's what an incredible name. Like, you make your name World Be Free, you're going to be the coolest guy ever.
All right, fair enough.
I think
Yeah,
Dikembe
I mean,
Mutombo
yeah.
is on this list for me. I saw him in Atlanta when I was on the road for a game, and he came into the locker room, had the Iverson effect. As soon as he came in, first of all, his voice, like, is so loud and recognizable. But he walks into the room, and immediately everybody just can't stop looking and smiling at him. It was just like everybody's day was made by him coming in, and he just went to everybody. Like, just somehow he knew everybody, and it was great. He's on my all-time cool list.
Okay, I can get with that. Another guy on my list, and this he stopped being cool over the last, I'd say, 10 years or so, but he was really cool when he was an NBA player, Magic Johnson.
Oh,
yeah, it's
for sure.
Agreed on both halves of that.
Yeah.
I also have a take. I've got a hater's take. You guys know I'm kind of cynical.
The hater's ball.
Magic Johnson is not one of the best storytellers in the world. That is such a weird,
Dude, you're so wrong.
disagree.
Yes, he
disagree.
is. He is.
He's certainly
incredible.
the most expressive storyteller of all time.
Sure.
He puts sound effects into his stories. They're so good.
Here's what I think and maybe you'll agree with this vote. He tells the same stories over and over,
That's
and
what
they're not cool the second time.
I could listen to Magic Johnson tell the story of the Dream Team scrimmage every day of my life.
I know, but the
I can't.
fourth Thanksgiving dinner with Magic Johnson, you're like, word, that story again. Sick.
But if it's the first time you've heard it, it's great. Whoop!
And also, I would like to have dinner with Magic Johnson. I'm in.
You wouldn't?
No, I would. Yeah.
Oh, of course.
That'd be way cooler than my normal Thanksgiving dinner. So.
And I can imagine Magic Johnson in his day. Like, the 1988 Magic Johnson was probably the coolest dude in all of Los Angeles. I think David Thompson's cool. He's another one that was way back in the day. But this is part of why I hate that he hasn't been more embraced by the Nuggets, just as, like, embracing their own history or whatever. Because David Thompson was freaking awesome, man.
Hold that comment up, guy.
One of the greatest athletes we've ever seen, and like Nuggets fans don't know anything about him. He's really cool. Oh, Fab Five, this is a great one. Great drop right here. People don't understand. I saw somebody the other day. Actually, I won't even say who it was because I don't want to. But I saw somebody the other day saying like, "Oh, how did Jalen Rose get on the Michael Jordan doc? He don't belong there." And I'm thinking, as a basketball player, yes. As a cultural icon, are you kidding me? Like, he's a child of Michael Jordan. They brought the baggy shorts. The Fab Five brought the baggy shorts. They brought all that swagger, and they were cool freshmen. Are you kidding me? The Fab Five, incredible. That's a great comment.
They're like
incredibly cool.
They might be their own Mount Rushmore for this. That they brought the baggy shorts in is like a huge cultural moment.
That's a great point, Amanya. I would tell the same stories over and over again for that money. Another thing about Jalen, did you guys know this? He was basically the person, or his mom, I guess, invented the name Jalen.
That's what he says. Yes, that's what he says.
Seems like a Jalen fact.
It's true. You can look at like the popularity of a name, and it was like after the Fab Five is when it like exploded in popularity.
That's crazy.
How crazy is that? How cool would it be if it was like, yeah, Brendan?
Yeah, most people named Brendan after this year are probably named after you. Yeah, that's pretty lit. I'm gonna choose to believe that's happening.
I think Carmelo's cool. I mean, part of the appeal and why the Melo years were just so popular here in Denver is, let's just face it, man, he was cool. And when
cornrows made you cooler back in the day.
2006 through 2008 D-Wade, like, just to me, like...
you could have just said...
I mean, all of D-Wade, but I mean to highlight that peak, because I thought during that peak, he's like a pantheon, like... And when he went into his veteran kind of back nine phase, like, he got very crafty. But I don't think people remember. Like, D-Wade would put it down your throat and down the next guy's throat.
He was Westbrook, like a better, even a better player, but the same explosiveness where it was just like, yeah, he's going to go by everybody. It doesn't matter. Put that one back on. Somebody said Kawhi. What do you guys think of this? This is an interesting case study in cool.
So I think Kawhi is very cool. And my definition of cool in today's NBA is when you just don't give a shit about what anybody thinks. You don't care how you look. You just kind of roll to the beat of your own drum. That's why I've got Klay Thompson on this list. Like, Klay Thompson
is the coolest.
Is so cool to me because he has a lot of those Kawhi qualities where he just doesn't care what anyone else thinks, and I think that's really cool.
He's blog boy cool. I wonder, like, I wonder if like only the little like corner of us thinks he's cool. I wonder like if my wife thinks Klay Thompson is cool, but I think he's the coolest dude ever for those reasons. He doesn't like live online. Still reads the paper. He's interesting.
He's my coolest player in the NBA today.
Kawhi's cool. Someone had Shaq in there in the comments. That was on my list as well. No?
Really?
I think
Shaq?
Yeah. I know he's corny, but I think playing days, Shaquille O'Neal.
So a lot of this list, my list has to do with just like their play style and how they played the game and just kind of the rhythm and the smoothness of their game. And Shaq's play style was never cool to me, you know.
Really?
Really?
No,
Duncan.
It seems like we
Mr.
disagree
Guy.
on 3 different fronts here.
it was just straight power. You know,
That's true.
that just doesn't get on my cool list.
Oh my God.
Jason Williams, that's a good one.
I had him on here. Jason Williams is on my list. Actually, all the guys we've talked about. Gilbert Arenas, I think, is really cool. Underrated, cool guy. And out of the league, maybe perhaps too soon because he was a really good player. He's a little crazy. He's a little on the edge there. Yeah.
Can I throw Phil Jackson in here?
Man, that's a. Here's an interesting one with Phil. I agree, but I think he, like everybody else, grew up and became washed and extremely uncool. Like, I don't think he's cool anymore.
You're probably right. I agree with that comment, by the way. Lou Will is definitely in the
Lou
modern
Will's a super
inspiration.
fun player. Yeah.
You might be right about that, Adam. It's kind of a tough one, I guess.
Yeah. Damian Lillard, I think he's very cool. He's very cool. He's also
Pat Riley's the coolest.
Oh, Pat Riley. Are you kidding? Don Nelson
coolest
now?
man.
Don Nelson's like the only person that's aged cooler. He got cooler as he aged. He used to just be like a fat coach, and now he's like a slick mobster looking dude.
Ben Wallace? What do you, Adam, do you have a more like in the moment?
He's not
kinda,
cool.
No?
Ben Wallace isn't cool. I think he's really he's tough and great and all that stuff, but I don't know that he's cool. Like,
Yo,
I think
Omar, I can't decide if I want to ban Omar or put every comment up on the screen.
is he drunk tonight? What's going on?
Definitely. I support it though.
I should tell him I got some of the what whiskey did I get there, guy? You have to hop in and tell me. You were is it 291 or 241? I forgot.
Yeah, no, that's the 291.
291. Yeah, delicious, fantastic wreck. Anyway,
Yeah,
that's
that
what
shit's awesome. How was it?
It was fantastic. Are you kidding me? It's fantastic. It's great.
Why does it look like Guy lives in Cliff Kingsbury's house?
That producer guy, by the way, you can wave. Look at his Broncos gear here.
put those
He does
feet
have, like,
up.
a very, very sexy apartment.
Guy's cool.
Udonis Haslem. Guy is cool. Guy's in the club. Udonis Haslem. I have. Cool as hell, man.
But that's like, I feel like people in the league know that. Like, you know what I mean? Casuals don't know that. But
I think anybody that would meet him would probably think he is cool.
Yeah.
I think Russell Westbrook's cool. I think he's a jerk.
Kevin
but
Durant.
I think he's cool. Huh?
Cool. Kevin Durant? I'm just kidding.
He's cool. I've got a couple. Oh, look at that! You just got MJ'd. I've got Jimmy Butler.
Yep.
I think he's a cool cat.
Yeah.
His story about just dominating the first team with the third stringers and the.
Have you heard him admit that he only scored once in that scrimmage?
Yeah, he just defended and rebounded.
I believe it.
He's such a psychopath. Imagine talking that much shit because you're rebounding.
I'm gonna ask Kata Bates Diop about that game.
Yeah, please do.
Dude,
Wow.
This is so great.
Such
How
a.
have we
You
not
shouldn't have
done
said
this?
that live on the air.
You should
Sorry.
have.
Altitude's not watching.
I think Gary Payton's cool. Gary Payton was cool in his day. He was like Gary Payton might be the best trash talker ever. That's like a real thing. He might be the.
Don't tell Michael Jordan that.
Well, I think it might be between those two guys, but like, that's what made that final such an interesting one. But Gary Payton, man, that dude wouldn't back down. He was cool. He was on the like post game show NBA Game Time, and he was so funny on that when he was on it.
Kobe.
Interesting one. Became cool.
Became cool.
Intensely uncool, I think, in my opinion. He was the coolest basketball player. Like, forget efficiency and everything else.
Play
Watching
style.
him play at his height was just
Yeah.
like, yeah, this is the coolest dude since Jordan. But I think as a person, he was intensely uncool till about 2014 or so.
I mean, Tim Duncan's cool,
Duncan.
I guess, in the way that Kawhi Leonard's cool,
Hold on.
right? I mean, if you embrace the nothingness.
Tim Duncan's not cool. This list doesn't mean anything if you
Yeah.
put Tim Duncan in it.
For every qualifier I put out there for Kawhi, it doesn't apply to Tim Duncan.
Tim Duncan wants to not be cool. Like if we put him in the list, he's offended. Craig Sager, I can't talk about Craig Sager. I have too hard time talking about
Marcus
him.
Smart. Cool.
No. What?
No? Or is that just a Boston thing?
I think that's a Boston thing. There's no. Marcus
You're probably
Smart.
right.
Give me
Marcus
that.
Actually,
Smart?
can you kick me out for even mentioning a Celtic?
Go to timeout. Give him an MJ. There you go. Get out of here. I do have Vince Carter. I think Vince Carter was intensely cool.
I accept that.
Yeah,
Vince Carter.
I even think still Walt Frazier, the guy who's always smiling and styling.
Dominique. T-Mac, I kind of like don't have a good perspective on T-Mac's
I had T-Mac on my list.
height, the height of his cultural impact.
He was
T-Mac
cool,
was so cool.
He was
man.
pretty cool. He was pretty cool. I have Birdman. I think Birdman
Love
was
it.
really cool.
Love it.
He's another one that I think is probably not cool in real life. Like I don't know if I want to like take a drive across the country with him, but I do think he's a cool personality.
Tier 3, Tier 2 cool. Chauncey Billups.
Oh, well, He's
sure.
Yeah, he's a very specific type.
He's
of
not
cool, for
flashy
sure.
enough to be like that tier 1, but he's that cool, calm, and collected badass. Like
Guy,
smooth,
throw Burley Joe. I see him in the queue. Throw him on here. We're
What's up?
Hey, what's
What's up,
happening,
What's up, man?
Hey
We're-
guys.
You see our conversation. We're going through cool. Chauncey Billups. Is he tier 1 or tier 2 cool?
So, Chauncey is like way before like I was really watching basketball very consistently.
Okay.
But based on like how you all talk about him and kind of like what my viewpoint, I think he's cool. He seems like a cool dude. Same reason I like Kawhi. He's kind of just goes about his business, does his thing, and then just falls out. And that's
Right.
pretty
Yeah.
awesome to me.
Right. Reggie Miller is not cool, Omar. I know
He
I
is like
commented there.
intensely not cool.
Yeah.
Intensely
Which is weird because
uncool.
Reggie Miller should have been very cool, but he just
Same.
wasn't. You know,
He is
Also-
the weirdest mix of
he
like
should have been cool.
clutch
Also
and
in that
badass,
club
but
is
not
Chris
cool.
Webber. They're like very similar to me. I know they're the two announcers, but should have been way cooler than they were.
Yeah,
That's
Jalen
it,
Rose is
yeah.
cool. He might be the coolest of that group.
I like
that
what
five.
AJ says there. I think he's got it right. Was Stephon Marbury cool until he ate Vaseline?
I don't really know. I don't feel like I remember Stephon.
No, Stephon Marbury
He
was
was
cool,
New
man.
York cool. Yeah,
He
he
was
was
really
cool.
cool.
Yeah,
He
he was
was
New
really-
York cool. He's a playground legend.
Still cool in China, apparently.
He had those.
I agree that Monte is one of the coolest Nuggets.
There you
Underground cool Monte
Underground
Morris.
cool for sure.
Strong
Who else in this
agree.
Nuggets team deserves consideration for cool?
Not Paul Millsap.
Nah, love him.
You don't
love
want the
him.
You
Magic?
can't do magic and be in this conversation.
Not Jokic. Can't do that one either. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if any of these other dudes are.
So
Gary
Gary
Harris.
Harris is kind of quite cool, as we talked about. Mitch
He's cool,
Richmond.
yeah.
What about Mitch Richmond? He's in
Hall
the
of
Wu-Tang
Famer
song.
Mitch Richmond.
Is that it? Is that my entire list? I guess that is. Anybody else have any?
Penny
you-
Hardaway was very cool.
No, he wasn't though. Penny Hardaway. So people don't.
Suck it,
remember-
Harrison. You're
I
wrong.
mean, he was, but
Well, he was an incredible player. And
I was just watching Penny Hardaway highlights like today, and he was pretty freaking cool.
But you know what? He was like Derrick Rose in this one way. And that, in fact, what's funny about it is they had the same shoe campaign. In this, he was so uncool that they wouldn't let him talk in his shoe campaign. They made Little Penny to basically be his alter ego, which
Oh,
was the
right, yeah.
opposite of him. It was a guy with personality. Because he was in Derrick Rose. Do you remember Derrick Rose's shoe commercials? They did the same thing. He never talked. Like somebody else was talking the whole time, and he just kind of stood there. It's the same thing. Penny was just like not very charismatic.
Dennis Rodman, very cool.
That's Rob.
Yeah, I mean, Pete cool. I think Mike Miller is another one.
I was gonna put Mike Miller in there. Yep. I
Mike
think
Miller.
at least like if not cool, like beloved, like universally it seems. right?
Everybody loves him.
Everyone.
100. I love him. I think he loves me. It's how he makes you feel. All right, I guess this is it. This is a fun
Definitely
list. If you
does
guys,
not like
anybody
Adam.
else have? Nobody else had any in the? Who
Is-
said Kuzma? Get out. The kick
Kyle
says Kuzma
Kuzma.
out.
James Dolan thinks his band is cool. That's true.
Is there something to be said about how a lot of the people were talking about being cool are previous players who haven't been in the league for a while? So a lot of the current it's like cool like a retrospective.
It's a great
point.
point.
That's a great
point.
point.
I think it's because like I was thinking of a Ja Morant. Is it too early to call Ja Morant cool?
Seems cool to me.
Seems cool
I mean,
to
he
me,
seems
but,
really cool.
but doesn't
I
he
think
meet
he's,
that?
I think he's
like,
cool, but
He's cool.
we might not know enough about him though.
Yeah. He has
Yeah,
to
for
like
sure.
last, you know.
Who's going to be retroactively cool that's in the league right now? Who might we look back? Kawhi might be the guy you mentioned because I don't think of him as that
Steph.
way.
You guys haven't mentioned him yet, but I think Luka Doncic. I think he's got some swag, man.
Yeah,
I think we're going to start to see that over the coming
He's
years.
going to be too polarizing.
But he
What?
does have that like sports car like superstar kind of. You know what I mean? Like drives fast cars, goes clubbing. Like he's got that kind of feel to him.
Do you think Trevor Ariza would think Trae Young's cool?
He apparently they like each other a lot.
Really?
Okay.
Yeah.
Trae
Do you
Young's
think?
cool?
Do you think we're gonna think James Harden is really cool in like
Great question.
20 years?
I don't think enough people
Because
think
we
he's cool
might.
now.
But I'm saying
Yeah.
this is the guy who could age
Yeah.
like fine
Right,
wine.
Yeah.
He
Can I-
could
yeah,
age
you're-
well in this.
His mixtapes will be great because his moves
Yeah.
when they work are like he makes people.
Can
fall
you
and
think
he
about
goes by 'em.
the James Harden strip club legends in 30 years from
That
now?
is
It's going to
true.
be
Kids will
Wilt
talk about it.
Chamberlain-esque.
That's true. That's
We
true.
have a
There's-
phrase. We have a phrase we always use us amongst the media. Hallway famer. The person that has a presence when they walk in. He's first ballot hallway famer. That dude walks into the gym and just has this look about him, and usually it's because he kills the Nuggets. But he walks in, and you could just tell he's like, "Oh, he's going for 50 tonight."
Yeah.
like he just has that look in his
Yeah.
eye, and he does. And his warm up is hilarious because he just struts.
Harrison, it's a great like Chuck Klosterman-y take there. Like if we peer into the future and how we would view the past from the future, I do think people will be less removed from the free throw stuff and more like, damn, that
we're not
going to
remember when James Harden just like collapsed in the second round of the West playoffs. We're just going to remember his scoring titles and his MVP and how he just partied all the time and just still was a complete bucket.
Yeah. That's true.
What does it take for Jokic to become cool?
Perspective. If you're like Jokic, you certainly think Jokic is cool.
I think he's cool. He's like hangs out with the kids.
Cool. He's Denver cool.
He's Denver cool.
I mean, he's not cool though, but he's Denver cool. Go ahead, bring in Peter F. Hey, there he is, Peter. What's going on, man?
What's up, guys? How we doing?
You could talk.
What's up, man?
What's up, Peter?
Where are you phoning in from?
Oh no.
Oh no, are we losing him already?
Peter.
I live in Dubuque, Iowa, but I'm originally from Colorado.
Okay, so Iowa in the house. What about you? You told us last time, Burley Joe, but I've already
Yeah,
forgotten.
so I currently live. So I at least live in Colorado.
Delay season.
Lived in Keystone for a bit, up in the mountains there.
Well, great news.
So it was kind of fun. Just had to change it up to the Midwest, I guess.
Well, great news, guys. We have one more break, right, Harrison?
Yeah, we got one more.
One more break. When we come back, we're going to do a joint steps. You guys are going to climb the steps together in harmony. You can both win prizes because we have lots of prizes to give away. So hopefully that means we have twice the chance at going all the way and winning the ice chest on the very first try. But first...
Yeah, we got Green Mountain Dental Group located in Lakewood, the best damn family-owned dentist in the metro area. They're also extreme Colorado sports fans, just like all of us. If you schedule a cleaning, x-ray, and exam at Green Mountain Dental Group, they'll hook you up with a free Sonicare toothbrush.
Oh, wow. Okay.
The Sonicare. It's the Sonicare.
It'll change your life.
You should have that should have been trivia question number 1. What can you get at Green Mountain Dental?
They are just 15 minutes from downtown Denver, and remember, get a cleaning, x-ray, and exam at Green Mountain Dental Group, and you will receive a free Sonicare toothbrush today. Also, guys, you can get Strava Craft Coffee for 20% off when you use the code DNVR20 online at StravaCraftCoffee.com. It has CBD. It's been known to help cure long-term migraines, back pain, arthritis, whatever's ailing you these days.
I just realized you're both wearing hats backwards today. How cool. You guys are cool. You guys are very cool. Peter has the traditional forward on and not cool. Not cool, man. Oh, it is Denver Nuggets, so it's cool again.
That's a very cool hat, though.
It is a cool hat.
It's very loud, It
is
loud.
loud.
In the crowd.
In a good way. Way. Loud in a great way. We need
but get 20% off Strava Craft Coffee. DNVR 20.
All right. Are you guys ready to climb the steps?
Let's do it.
Yeah, man. Let's do it.
So as a reminder here, we have this to give away. Look at this. Bottle, hat, shirts, water bottle, hat, shirts, and then we have, of course, this. If you make it all the way. I guess we can't split that, though, can we? I guess we'll have to paper, rock, scissors on live air for it.
Are we together, or is there
You're together. You have to come to a consensus, but you have double the brain power here.
Yeah.
All right.
Question, actually, Guy, go ahead and disable comments. Question number 1. Which Nuggets player is currently 10th all-time in triple-doubles with 40? I assume this means 10th in the NBA all-time.
No, it's in the NFL, Adam.
Peter, I would guess Jokic. I'm pretty confident in that one.
Jokic, but...
You say, yeah.
That is correct. You guys are on to number 2.
I was going to say Jokic.
Well, that was the right answer.
We're off and running.
We're off and running. Number 2, which Nuggets rookie made his debut on October 31st, 2019 against the New Orleans Pelicans and played 21 minutes?
I think it's his rookie, considering it's the first season in the NBA rookie.
October 31st, 2019.
Yes, he would have been listed as a rookie.
I was going to say...
I love that Peter.
Did you say
MPJ
or?
Yeah, I was thinking MPJ,
but
I was thinking MPJ against the Pelicans, but he said rookie. But I think he's considered a rookie technically. I think that's how NBA does it. But and paid 21 minutes. Yeah, I would go with MPJ if you want to go MPJ.
Peter?
Yeah.
That is correct. You guys got it. I love how having two people has actually made
final
this
answer.
harder. It's actually made it more difficult.
Who could have seen it coming?
Number 3, who coached the Nuggets to 9 straight playoff appearances in the 2000? Peter's on like a 10 second.
Peter's got a great delay
It's
going.
incredible. Who led the Nuggets to 9 straight
George
playoff
Karl?
appearances?
Yeah, George. Okay.
Oh,
yeah,
that is
George.
correct. You guys got that one. All right, number 4.
The tension doesn't build quite the same way.
Which player was not on the Nuggets?
Right, the massive delay on my end.
5 seconds. It's incredible. Which player was not on the Nuggets' 2007-2008 roster? Anthony Carter, J.R. Smith, J.J. Hickson, or Marcus Camby?
It's a hard question for people who just moved here.
That is true.
Yeah. Can you go through them one more time?
Which player was not on the Nuggets 2007?
Not on the roster?
Yeah. Anthony Carter, J.R. Smith, J.J. Hickson, Marcus Camby.
So during the DNVR watch,
I don't think it was Hickson, because it was, I think, because wasn't Camby's Defensive Player of the Year in that year?
I don't know. I really don't know. I would say that the 2009 watches, they were talking about J.R. Smith and Anthony Carter, so I don't think it's those two. But you go, Peter. You pick. I believe in you. No, we'll wait 5 seconds.
Okay. We'll go with Hickson.
That is correct.
It's JJ Hickson.
It was, yep. Number 5. Who was the Nuggets' GM, top basketball ops executive before Tim Conley? We've had this question before, too.
Apparently, I got my questions wrong last week.
Masai Ujiri, I think.
Is the guy from Toronto?
Yeah, I think it's Masai Ujiri, right?
Yeah, you're right. You got it.
That is correct. All right, we got him.
Yeah, besides
That means you guys have won, and you cannot lose now an item. Do you want... I guess I'll ask you, Peter. Actually, Guy, if you can take this down, actually, just remember this. Peter, water bottle, shirt, or hat? Did you see these items? Go back over to them real quick. Look at these.
Ooh,
Can I just say something for you? Don't take
it's a sweet water bottle.
Oh, come on, dude.
Come on, man. Everybody gotta stay hydrated, all right?
I guess you could tell me.
It could be
after the
beer, it could be water in there. No, nobody will never know.
show. Actually, just stay on after the show. We'll keep it moving. But
Yeah,
after
we'll
the
ask
show,
you after the show.
you can let me know. Yeah. So
We'll get you
move
that
on.
water bottle.
We'll move on here to number 6. How many Nuggets players played in last February's miraculous win over the Utah Jazz?
7,
Yeah.
I believe.
Lock it in.
7.
Peter?
He said it.
He said it. All right, 7. That is correct. All right. Number 7. Who is the Denver Nuggets' lead assistant? Ooh, this is a tough one.
They're what?
Lead assistant
coach.
Oh. Okay.
This is tough.
I know there's Jorge Fernandez. That's one, or George. Some close or
Close enough.
something around that area. There's a really tall guy. What's his name?
It's going great.
Yeah.
Very
I
confident.
don't know. Do you know Peter?
I have no idea.
Oh,
Really, Joe. Your guess would be as good as mine.
I don't. The guy who I said first. That's the only guy's name I know. I can picture all their faces.
You also don't know his name, so it's okay.
Heck, he's Jordy Fernandez. That's close.
Jordy.
Judges will allow it.
Yeah. Don't,
All right, I'll go with Jordy Fernandez. That's the close. That's the only name I got.
Are you with
All
me,
right,
Peter?
great answer.
They're out of
You're
here! Oh, that was really tough. Who made these
Yeah.
questions?
That
today?
felt like an
I
11.
guess that was tough.
Stay on the line, guys. Peter and Burley Joe, stay on the line. We'll get your info here in a second, though, because you guys still won one item, whether it be a water bottle or a T-shirt. So stay on for a second, and we'll get that to you, guys. As we said at the top of the hour, we're here for everybody. We really want to be that. That's the mission statement we've set for ourselves. When we say we are Denver, we really want to, in many ways, help shape the city and highlight the best of it, and not run from the worst of it, and try to just improve it. And in that way, obviously, our job in large part is to have fun, maybe to create a distraction and to build community. But right now, we felt, at least at the top of this, that we wanted to take some time and kind of just address it and let everybody know we're here for you. We're here for everybody. We really want to open up the dialogue and be a catalyst for meaningful change. And hopefully we can find ways to do that as time goes on. But in the immediate or in the immediate moment, we're always here for you, guys. To everybody that tuned in, everybody that supported us, everybody that's a part of this community, we thank you. Big hearts. Big hearts. We'll see everybody tomorrow. Brand new episode.
Take care of your mentals.
Adios, everybody.
The answer is Wes Unseld too.
It was Wes Unseld.
Yeah.
Just wanted to get that in there.